Okay, we're going to talk again today a little bit about hooks. This one won't be as long. But when I got on and did some research, I found that there's like official lists of different ways that you can start a story or an essay. And those hooks were not the same as the ones that I had given. So I wanted to review them with my kids. But I actually still pretty firmly believe that there are really three types of hooks. The first one is suspense. So you don't know what's going to happen next. That would be like for thrillers and mysteries and detective stories and that kind of thing. Anything that's really action based. And so, I jumped off the cliff and I had no idea if there was enough water at the bottom or something. And then the second one is humor. And I think a lot of hooks will use humor and something else, but sometimes it relies just on humor. And then the third one, you could call it something unexpected or intrigue, something that you don't understand, something that makes you go, what? And you need an explanation, or you want more. You want to know why or how something is the way that they were talking about it being. But the list that they had online was more like types. And so it said, the ones that I found online said things like, okay, I can't read Tessa's handwriting as easily, so hopefully Emmy's is a little better because oh, good. There we go. All right. So, question. Yeah. So the one online listed the hooks as an interesting question. So something like, did you know the human body is mostly water or something? But to me, for that to be a complete hook, it needs to combine that question with one of the things. It either needs to be a funny, interesting question, or it needs to be an intriguing, interesting question that you're like, what's the answer to that? Or it needs to be suspenseful, because otherwise, why is it interesting? I feel like it still falls into one of my three categories, but that's just me. The next one is a strong statement. So that could be something like, everyone says their mom is the best mom, but I can definitively prove it. Again, if you're making a strong statement like that, and it's a compelling statement, I think you're in a situation where you have either done it funny, you have done it intriguing, so people want to know whether that statement is true or not, or how it can be true, or why, or it's suspenseful. You say, in the next 3 minutes, someone sitting at this table will die. You're like, oh my gosh, that's a strong statement. Why? Because I'm in suspense. So I still think it falls in. But anyway, the third thing that they had was a fact or statistical hook. So something like 1 in 3 people suffers from lice. Wow, I would be like, what? That's horrifying. I feel itchy right now just thinking about it. But again, to me, that's an intrigue hook. And then the next one is a metaphor or simile. And I feel like a metaphor or simile hook is only going to work if it fulfills one of my three. So, but I'm teaching the kids these anyway, because that's what they have when you start looking up hooks. And then another one is a description hook. My personal opinion is that this is the weakest hook. So if you're going to have a description hook, like the grass was green, the sun was shining, you need to add something like, and the shadow of the ghost put all those things to shame. You're still coming around to intrigue or suspense or humor, right? In my opinion, or your hook is going to fall a little flat. But certainly as you read older books, you're going to find a lot of them start with a description hook. And you're just really hoping that there's something in that description that is either intriguing, like unexpected, suspenseful, or funny. And then the last one would be the quotation hook. And again, to me, the quotation hook, you're either stealing from someone else or you're making it funny. So you could start a book with, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, because my dad finally left. And you're like, wait, is that good or bad? Well, maybe it's both. Okay, so it's that extra spin that you put on the quotation that makes the quotation hook work. Because otherwise, you're just cribbing off of someone else's story. So to make it your own story, to make it work, I still think it has to fall into one of those three categories. But I wanted to at least address the fact that depending on who you're talking to, when they say what type of hook are you using, it could mean sort of a variety of things. They could be saying like, which of these is it? Interesting question, strong statement, fact or statistics, metaphor, simile, a description hook, a quotation hook. You could certainly categorize it as one of those, but I still think it falls into one of these three. So All right, just that quick little blurb on hooks. And then, of course, if you haven't already done it, I went through my kids' book reports, and it was important for me to take the time to explain to them again that in the book report, what I really want is 3 things. The first is a summary, and my kids' summaries left a little bit to be desired. So the summary should be a couple of sentences that said something about the book, the main point of the book, a little bit about it, so that when I go into, because some of these books they're doing book reports on, a lot of them I haven't read. So you need to say, you know, if the book report is about Harry Potter, it should say, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is about a little boy whose parents had died and he was left to live with his relatives. And he finds out that he's been invited to a school and discovers that his parents were a witch and a wizard, and he is a wizard as well. And then he goes to this school and has to discover why his parents died, who he really is, and what matters. So that would be a summary of Harry Potter. You don't have to tell me the ending or who all the cast of characters are. It doesn't have to be that long, but at least something. I want the kids to be working on I want you guys to be working on how do I take this story and summarize it so that when I give my hook, when I give my theme or whatever I'm going to do for that week, it makes sense to whoever's reading it. So then the second thing is whatever the assignment for that week was. Last week it was the hook. A lot of my kids were doing the conflict, the theme, and the hook. Now, if you want to do that, fabulous. It's just extra practice, but I'm only expecting them for that book report week to do it on just that particular last week's topic. So we're going to be doing school every Tuesday and Thursday. And then when I say that, I mean, we're going to do writing every Tuesday and Thursday courses like what I'm talking about with these videos. So that means every Tuesday, the book reports are due for the prior week, the book that they read, and then the explanation of the prior week's topics. And then every Thursday, we're just going to be doing another class and then that week's assignment, because the book reports are only due once a week, because that's the reading component. And then we're actually doing grammar on Mondays, spelling on Wednesdays, and handwriting on Fridays. So hopefully that will help.